Sometimes I hear people say the best way to source talent for the company is from their personal and professional network, meaning they ask people they know, anyone that they can refer to work in the company for a specific role or specific jobs. And there's also my personal encounter and experience that sometimes my friends get the job in a particular company that I can't find in the job advertising website. And sometimes I wonder why all those jobs listed on the job advertising website are all entry level jobs. There are not a lot of middle level or even with top level job. Like I've never seen a CEO role post on the like Indeed or JobsDB website. So how does that work actually in the job market? Or I mean behind the scene, how do HR or company source people into their workforce?
Right. Um, so you can imagine if I need someone who is junior and just coming out of university, then my primary source is campus recruitment. I go straight to the source. I don't really pay anything for it. I get a slot. I get an expo. I can talk. I can attract the students, and then I get a rush of CV coming in, and I just do that. Now those get posted normally in the company website, where they have a official recruitment program every year, at certain seasons, and that's tend to be what happened at bigger companies. Smaller companies, maybe not so official, and sometimes they run their own ads. Okay, and that's because these students are not in the job market yet, so you can't really use network that to get to these students. They are just fresh out of the university, right? So it's more likely that those kind of jobs would be more visible, both in terms of what is being advertised and also campus recruitment. But once you get into the job market, it's a different situation. The people that I look for, um, I want to have certain degree of assurance that these people are up for the requirement that I need. So now imagine the entire process of searching for someone, interviewing someone, going through the CV is a very time involving process. So it involved a few people's time, not just my time. It involved maybe, some of my team members, some of my subordinate, and maybe me, and ultimately maybe my boss. So the hidden cost of looking for someone from from an advertised sort of a source when you come in without any sort of filter is high, because I've got to do a lot of filtering, a lot of due diligence myself. So then you say, well, what other ways can I get these people? So I'm now speaking from an employer's perspective, right? Um, so in my personal experience, and when I used to work in banks, and both myself and people that I work with, if let's say someone in my team has just left, okay, and that guy may be 2 or 3 years experience, a client service officer, which is very very common. The first thing that I would ask is I call into the supervisor of the team and say, "Do you know anyone good?" Now, it's a very open question. I'm not asking that person to give me someone who is already in the industry. It could be from the industry. It may not be from the industry. I'm just an opening question. Do you know anyone good? With the subcontext, without saying, do you know anyone good that is in this role, knowing what this role requires? Okay. Now, why would I do that? Why don't I just go straight to HR and then write a job spec and then give it to the recruitment agency? A couple of reasons. One, time. So by the time I have to go through all of that paperwork process and all of the stuff, it's going to take a few days, some weeks, get the recruitment agent engaged. They're going to ask you, okay, what do you want? And then they interview you a little bit. They then spread out into their database and then find out a few, and then they'll give you a bunch for you to filter out. All that would take time. That's number one. Number two, cost. Recruitment agency costs, on average, 20 to 25% of that person's first year salary. That's a very expensive way to search for people. Okay. So, and the higher up they go, the bigger the cost, right? So it's far more appealing to me to just ask someone if they know somebody and then directly contact that someone to see if they will be interested to have a coffee chat, okay? Informal, okay? Doesn't have to be an interview. Just to check each other out in terms of, hey, do you want to leave your company? Are you happy there? And then if you do, then, okay, well, we have something here. Would you be interested? Okay. That costs nothing. It's a coffee. It's a half an hour chat. But what you're getting is if someone recommend that to you, I have a certain degree of inherent trust to this person who is recommending this person to me. And if this person found it justified to recommend to me, I think this person would be of at least a certain standard. So I don't have to go through the due diligence myself as rigorously to try to figure this person out. I can just have a 50% confidence level that, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He or she worked with this person before whom I trust. And if that person rate this person, chances are maybe this would be a good person to at least try on, okay? And so this is the hidden job market. Imagine if every single job were to advertise or given to a recruitment agency, what would happen to the time and the cost of the recruitment process? And also from an employer perspective, I'm getting someone who is an unknown quality versus if I do my network fishing, right? Just telling people that I know, and they recommend to me, I have a far higher initial degree of confidence that this person would be suitable. Okay, so my soft risk of hiring the wrong person, at least from my perspective, is lower than if I just interview someone from cold. I don't know this guy at all, and I just need to get 4 or 5 people to interview this guy to come with a controversial opinion whether this person is a fit for our team. And also, it's just far quicker. I can get this person out tomorrow for a coffee chat if that person is close to my supervisor and my supervisor knows that this person is not happy where she is, right? So it's there are many benefits of this hidden job market connection. And so that's what most of the time happened in the real market. And I would say we're talking about 80-20 rule here. What you see advertised is 20% of the job market. What you don't see is the 80%. By the time to get a job, you're too late. You're too late to the scene because someone else got a recommendation, and that recommendation list of people did not include you.
So in that case, let's not talk about the entry-level fresh graduate position. So for people who have been working for a couple of years, a few years, if they want to change a job, want a change of scenery, that means it's better to expand their network or try to get into the radar of people willing and able to do referral, and also the radar of people actively searching for like new position, right? So if that's the case, how can someone try to increase the likelihood of getting referred? Or how do people get to know someone, like not from the official job advertising or headhunter, but how do I get to know, let's say, people like you who are in a position of making the decision for hiring? So, yeah.
So I would start with my own network and my own circle of trust. So people whom I trust, okay, because I'm talking about potentially leaving my job, I don't want everybody to know about it. I don't want my boss to know about it, prematurely, for example. So I would only spread the word to people whom I would trust, not to, spoil the secret, so to speak. And then I'll tell them my intention and my desire to work in a certain job, certain role, and just ask them to keep an eye out for me. Pay notice if they hear anything. Give me a tap on the shoulder, and then potentially introduce me to some of these opportunities. Okay. It might be tempting to overdo it, meaning that anyone you meet on the street, you just start advertising who you are to them and what you want to do. I would caution against that, because you don't know who you're going to be meeting. You don't know who these people are. So you could be a little bit more ambiguous about, so are you happy where you are? You could say, yeah, yes and no. There are certain things that I like, and there are certain things that I don't quite like. So I'm just in the process of discovering, but I'm happy to look at any opportunities. You might say something like that, right? That even if you get back to your boss, it doesn't really mean a definitive, oh, I hate the place I work, right? And this is quite neutral. So it's not going to be disastrous if it does come back to your company and your boss. Your boss would more likely, so if you are worth your while, the boss would call you into a room and say, hey, are you happy? Probably going to be something like that, rather than telling you that, hey, I thought you're leaving. What's wrong with you? So yeah, I think it's the way you handle it. And I would say broaden your network is always a worthy use of time. When I say broaden network, I don't just mean at conferences or business networking meeting, but after work drinks in public venue, not just at work, but let's say you all go to a bar, and this bar has a lot of other people from the same industry being there, and then eventually it kind of leaks into each other. You get to know about this guy from another company from the same industry. So those kind of network becomes a lot more interesting over time. You won't get result the first time you're there with the intention, oh, I wish I can bump into Kevin and maybe he can offer me some. No, you have no expectation. You're just there to meet people. You're just there to understand people. And if that's your pure intention, then it will show up as that, and people won't get pressured into having a conversation with you, and they'll just enjoy the conversation. And I think during the conversation, this is how you impress them, by showing them the person that you are. Your charm, maybe your principles, your values, the way you work. When you talk about how you do your work and how you live your life, these are the things that actually slowly but surely spread your own branding to other people, and ultimately maybe result in some opportunities coming to you.
And after all, you still have to be good enough for people to be referring you to someone else, right? It doesn't matter if you do all the networking, do all the introduction, but that handle the opportunity looking for it. But then after people inquire a bit about your background, like your track record, they found out, oh, actually you're not that good, right? So you still have to be good. And then on top of that, if you have the right network and the right timing, then maybe you have access to this position. Yeah.
You're right. I think you have to be good, but you don't need to be exceptional. You just have to be average or above average. The reason is that most of the people, there's a lot of turnover, especially these days, with people wanting a better paid job or wanting a job with better prospects. And if those guys with the qualities, they would jump, right? And so they vacate this place. Now, are there equally talented people waiting to fill the space? Probably not, because they're probably making the same jump to the next higher plane. So employers are replacing it with potentially, a little bit less experienced or a little bit less talented. Okay, so they're looking at a second rung. to replace this top performer most of the time, and hopefully groom this person over time to be, you know, as good as. But so therefore, just because you're not a top person, I would not be deterred to expose myself, as long as at least you are slightly better than average, right? But I think when it comes to the work performance, it's less about your ultimate technical, expertise. It's more about how responsible you are, how reliable you are, how mature you are, how well do you work with other people. Those things, I think, comes far more to the fore, given you have work experience, than the rest.
I think that sums up pretty well. Is there other thoughts you want to share?
No, I think that's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.